Deine Zeit läuft ab jetzt.
Okay, so I'm trying with the microphone today. Hopefully that will work. I mean, we tested it during lunch break, so and if the jury is okay with it, I would like to present in English today just for the sake of practice. I hope you are okay with that. If not, I can switch to German. Okay, good. So, yeah, welcome everybody to the Goldmaster at the Games Academy. My name is Felix. I'm producer of the team Overscoped AF. I'm not going to explain what the AF stands for. I guess everybody can think of that. And yeah, the project I'd like to present today is called SpaceForce. And now, if some people who have been here at the last milestone are thinking, wait, we changed the name. We used to be SpaceForce, yeah, but apparently it was not recognized in the last email, so we decided to switch back. So what is SpaceForce? SpaceForce is a real-time strategy game, which is, of course, as usually strategy games are, being played from the isometric perspective in 3D. And as our setting, we have big science fiction spaceship battles. And yeah, we did the entire project in the Unity engine, and it's meant for 2 to 8 players, so it is multiplayer only. And yeah, since there's no violence in that setting, the recommended age would be 12+, and we did all that for the PC as a platform, and of course the input is mouse and keyboard. So, what exactly is SpaceForce? What do you do? First of all, for big spaceship battles, of course, you take control over mighty spaceships. That's a bit self-explanatory. And with those spaceships, you're fighting against your friends or enemies or frenemies or whatever. You fight large-scale online battles against them, as I said, with 2 to 8 players. And on the battlefield, you will find certain map objects, like relay stations, mining stations, and so on. All these map objects have a specific effect, and you can capture them so that you gain an advantage. It allows you to produce more units, and to get more intel on the battlefield, and so on. And our big USP is that you can actually customize your own units and create your own loadout, aka faction, and yeah, lead them into battle. But okay, enough talk. Let's just show what that actually is. So I'm now going to start our build, and one where there's a warning beforehand, as we found out. We have a little sound issue up here. So, especially with weapon SFX are way more quieter than they're supposed to be. On other PCs it works just fine. So this is only an issue here. So, here we are in our main menu. And don't get confused by the little single player down here. It's only a debug feature of ourselves to test certain combinations. Core of our game is the ship editor, where I can create and edit the different ships. So for example, if I go here on a new ship, yeah, just hide these slots. I can select a class. We have gunboats, cruisers, and battleships. All of these have different base stats. Yeah, battleships are, of course, our largest ships. And I can attach weapons, modules, and whatever to them. If I hover over them, we can see, okay, this here is a large minigun. And I can just, via drag and drop, place it on the ship, and I can see how the stats change, and also the cost. The cost also determines the building time in-game. Usually there's a ratio of 100 credits per second, so building this ship will already take over a minute, because, well, battleships are super powerful. And yeah, I have these little ships, and the loadout editor, I can actually put all these ships into different factions or loadouts. Those are our 4 dev loadouts, which are available for every player, and I can take up to 12 different ships into one loadout. I can see their stats, I can take a look at them up close, I can see they're really pretty, everything is a little bit animated. And yeah, so once we have created our loadouts and so on, we can go into battle. I will now play with our programmers over there. So for today, we are using the direct connect feature because we are not playing in the local network. This is actually online. Oh yeah, okay, apparently someone did not sleep today. So, if we are going for a slightly humorous approach today, then I'm afraid I have to go with it. So, let's refresh the lobby and join our game. And yeah, here I am. I can select the loadout. Here are also my own loadouts available. And yeah, here you can see the different maps that are available. We have different lobby settings for the map. I can pick a different color. We could also play in a team. For the sake of demonstration, I will disable the fog of war for myself and start the debug game that will allow me to cheat a little. Of course, just for demonstration. So here we are now on the loading screen. See the progress of each player, and yeah, here we are. This is the first map object. This is the so-called outpost. That one. There are several on the map. I can capture them, and then I can spawn ships right next to them. We have these mining stations, which give us resources in regular intervals. Yeah, here's a neutral outpost that we can conquer. And this is a relay station inside the so-called effect field. Effect fields have, as the name suggests, certain effects on ships. This debris field, for example, deals damage per second to every ship that goes in there. So if I want to capture this relay station, which would reveal a large chunk of the map, yeah, I would do so at great cost. In the middle, we have the so-called Dreadnought satellite. This is also, the Conqueror status can actually be seen here at the top. This is for a special mechanic that we are going to demonstrate. As you can see, the blue player is already going for it, trying to capture it, and the more units he has there, the faster he captures it. So, time to order some units. The enemies. Okay, blue has captured the satellite. The narrator already told us that the Dreadnought is being prepared for launch, so if the player is able to hold the satellite for 5 minutes, they can call in the Dreadnought. So, I can now spawn some units. I order them here for credit cost. Here you can see build time. Here's my total resources. And yeah, of course here I have a few more ships available because I'm cheating. And I can just call them in, depending on what key I'm pressing. I can also spawn in a large group. And yeah, these are the Grenadier gunboats. For this loadout, they have a very light armor. They have a long-range small weaponry, and they're quite fast, so they're basically hit-and-run ships. But I can also spawn larger ships, like for example, let's go with the frigate, which is the next class, it's cruiser. So I can now select these units, and of course I can move them around. They'll try to stay roughly in a group. We try to ensure that the movement is quite smooth, that when I give a change of the direction, they will try to fly around in a curve. But yeah, guys, why are you so peaceful today? Stop with killing. Come on. We have only 6 minutes left for a demonstration. I want to see some dead people. And now green is off there to go conquer and blue. Okay, so first reinforcements are arriving, and here we see a battleship. These missiles are also dealing area of effect damage, so they are perfectly suited to destroy large groups of cheap units. And as I said, unfortunately the SFX here on these speakers are a little bit too quiet. Oh, and apparently someone is also attacking me. Yeah. Yeah, every weapon also has an accuracy rating, and as you can see, these small weapons are not very precise. Yes, sir. Okay, for demonstration purposes, I will let them die. There we can see the enemy unit also has a shield. And it takes some sweet time for reloading. Yeah, of course, overcompensating much. So what's really interesting about our unit system is that each weapon and each module that's attached to such a unit actually acts on its own. So when we are having a large unit like the battleship, then we are not seeing only one unit, but basically like 10 different units that are each acting on their own. So each weapon point can actually target its own enemy if it wishes. They're only being held together by the spaceship as a platform.
Opening fire.
So, and here we can hopefully see the area of effect in action. Yeah, 2 units have been killed at once. 2 birds, 1 stone. And of course our gunboats see no light against the enemy heavy ships. As you can also see, each ship class moves on its own layer. That actually makes the pathfinding for us way easier, because with large ships, instead of blocking the way for small gunboats, they're simply floating below them. And therefore the gunboats can simply hover over them. We have no pathfinding issues in that regard. That's actually a quite elegant solution that also is good for the atmosphere, because we are in space. Of course, everything should not be on the same layer. So, and in a bit less than 1 minute, Blue will be able to launch a Dreadnought. Unless, of course, another player is able to take the middle satellite.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Okay, so here we have Red trying to get an army, to assemble an army. For one take to get the central satellite, and as we can see, they're shooting with plasma launchers. And for such small ships, they're also dealing quite some damage, but yeah, some weapons are simply a bit larger. Guys, will you as a blue player, may I ask? Good. Of course, our lead programmer. His feature, so he wants to show it. Okay, and as we can see, they are having a little stalemate. And yeah, now the Dreadnought is coming. This basically serves as our super weapon in the game. So it's only there for a couple of seconds, and it shoots roughly 100 times at random enemies and deals some damage. Some of its weapons deal area of effect damage, others deal single point damage. We have tested it quite a bit. It's actually not overpowered. So it is actually possible to create a tank battleship that is able to tank half of the enemy projectiles of the Dreadnought. So it serves more as a little support ability, not as a total game changer. Now Nils will probably go kill the others. Would be nice if Red would have some units to put up the fight. But yeah, to be fair, there's not much you can do, and once the last outpost is lost, the game should soon be over, because there are no units of Red on the field anymore, aside from that little gunboat. Yep. I got defeated, Nils won. We see here a few statistics. And yeah, that basically is our game. So, time to jump back into the presentation, because now I want to tell you a little bit about the creation process. Come on, yeah. So as you might have noticed, it's a little bit different in scope and scale compared to other Games Academy projects. We had a very different approach. So instead of focusing on one mechanic that we are going to realize and then polish and expand upon, we decided we want to go for something bigger at first. And yeah, the main game idea was born when the lead programmer Nils and I were playing a little bit of Command & Conquer. And he was like, well, I want to do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we have also taken a look at other strategy games, but the main reference was Command & Conquer. We decided, okay, we want to do Command & Conquer at the Games Academy, and the question is, how are we going to do that in 8 weeks? For that,
we had a little solution. So we took the game and then made a little bit of research of what components it consists. So those are, in our opinion, the main components of the game. And of course, in just 8 weeks at the Games Academy, we are not able to do them all. So we had to prioritize. And we decided that the core part of Command & Conquer is the smooth and fluid combat, the multiplayer, and the general feeling of the game, especially in regards of unit commentary, cutscenes, and so on. Obviously, we were not going to do cutscenes, but we tried our best with the unit commentary and speaking UI and so on. As a second priority was the resources, the base building, and of course the super weapon mechanics. And while the other components for setting up the campaign were also nice, they were, in our opinion, not crucial for the gameplay experience. You don't necessarily need a campaign if you have great multiplayer battles. And the setting, well, great strategy games can happen in any settings. We have some set in ancient Rome, we have hard sci-fi, we have modern combat, and so on. We decided to go for sci-fi for a very simple reason: we don't need to animate humans. I need less environment assets. So it was a completely economic choice. And yeah, what we did after that is, for all possible parts, we created quick concepts. Because if we are going to divide our game into the modules, we need to make sure that we have a plan of what each module would be, and we didn't know yet how many of them we would be able to put in our game. So of course, everything needs to be concepted, everything needs to be structured in a modular way. We had a very hard separation of feature areas. It was mainly a way that each programmer worked on a different story, so that if one fails, the other two can still carry on the project. If the core component, like the combat, does not work properly, we can still have a great atmosphere, for example. So yeah, we had a very hard separation there. We tried to eliminate unnecessary dependencies wherever possible, so that each team member could completely work on their own. And yeah, as I already mentioned, we needed to structure everything modular. That is actually how the ship editor was born. At first it was meant as an internal tool for us to create more units, super cheap, super fast. If we like create 20 modules, we can create an abundance of units. And yeah, so that everything looks better, we also had to create a few dev tools to ensure that our programmers could actually work on features and not, for example, be necessary to import all the art assets the entire time, which would actually bind some time. So about the dev tools, one core that we had was the so-called module manager that we created for our product environment, which actually allowed us to completely create new modules for the ship editor, like weapons, armors, utilities, bind them to models, to SFX, VFX, and so on, and also to define the properties. So game designers and artists could completely create entirely new modules on their own. And yeah, we even went so far that we had a section only for the bullets. So a minigun that shoots rockets, no problem. Yeah, nice explosions that would have been. Also, this is our map editor, which is also included in the build that you will find on the project drive. It is, of course, not very polished, as you can see on the UI. It is a dev tool, not an end-user tool. But it allowed us to create maps in the end very quickly, iterate them very fast. And it also gave us some controls about the decoration, like, for example, the light rotation, light intensity, light color. We could switch skyboxes, add decoration assets. Of course, add gameplay assets to the main layer, had a grid system to assist us. So it was really a great tool, like the module manager, to aid us in development. That made a lot of stuff very easy. Yeah, but of course the project itself was not very easy. We had identified a couple of difficulties, which unfortunately followed us throughout the project. So whoever here was here during the last milestones already knows this slide very well. Because of our network architecture, which was entirely focused on determinism, we could not use most of Unity's tools. We were only sending player inputs over the network, which was a very efficient way, so that we do not require to send a lot of data. But Unity is not used to that. So we had to create most tools on our own, which of course was very time expensive. Yeah, pathfinding was an entire issue for itself. Over the course of the entire term, we are happy with our solution in the end, but it was in the end. Yeah, unity nut meshes were also a very special problem, as well as the unit movement. So these topics bound an entire program for the entire development time. But yeah, for multiplayer, let's also not forget about the desyncs. We had a lot of synchronization issues over the course of the entire project, and we lost a couple of weeks to it. So yeah, that gave us a little bit of a headache. And due to the loss of time to these issues, we had to make a very cruel decision, because we had 2 modules of a game that we really wanted to get into. Base building and ship editing. As I said, ship editing was at first our tool for ourselves to create new units. But over the course we noticed it was fun. Why not give that to the player? Why not give him the opportunity to experiment with different unit combinations and so on? It is a great idea. But also base building, one of the core components of Command & Conquer with priority 2. We couldn't do both. So we made a very risky decision and decided to not go for base building and focus entirely on ship editing, which in the end paid off, but it was a really long road until we saw benefits from that. So a couple of weeks ago, some of us were still sad that the base building was gone. But yeah, in the end, we were able to create quite a good game, in my opinion, in our opinion. It consists of 5 different maps. We have 3 different ship classes for the ship editor. We have over 20 modules with different variations. Most modules have variations for small scale, mid scale, large scale, and so on. So actually those are 60 to 80, if you count them in. We have 4 different map objects with different effects. We have different effect zones, and the ship editor, of course, and the loadout editor, which is quite a large package for a student's project. And here's some impressions that we had during our testing phases. This is a large-scale battle. Unfortunately, we have only here a couple of minutes, but if we had matches going up to 40 minutes, yeah, when there are more mining stations in place and you have more time to build your fleet, the battles can actually become quite large. Due to the different skyboxes, we have very different atmospheres. You have maps for all of them. I especially like this one because it's very close to Homeworld 2 in regards of colors, which I personally totally like. Yeah, here just a little panorama of a few units inside a damage field, a junkyard. They wouldn't stand there for long because they would die quite soon, but still it's a beautiful shot, so they didn't give their life for nothing. And yeah, here again our loadout editor that allows us to put units into our own customized faction for the network. Yeah, time for a few statistics. In the Games Academy, for a project with this team size, we are 8 people, 7 plus 1, roughly 1,800 man-hours are required. We knew that we were overscoping, so I planned with 2,300 to 2,500, which was already quite optimistic, but we ended up with more than 3,200. So everybody in the team was really determined to work on the project. We worked a couple of nights through, and it was really a lot of fun, but also very exhausting. Of course, I don't want to put the team members into competition to each other, but our top team member in regards of pure man hours is at 477, the last 2 days not being counted in, so it's probably around 500 or something like that. While our flop is still at 290, which is still way more than is required at the Games Academy, so it's still super awesome that everybody in this team has shown so much dedication. And yeah, the backlog still offers enough stuff for months to go if you wanted to, because we were only able to get a couple of modules into the game. And yeah, there were some key learnings that we made throughout the project. Yeah? Quickly. The first thing is we had to start very early with internal testing, especially in regards of the network compatibility. And you said 1 minute. I'm confused.
Just continue.
Okay, and yeah, of course, a lot of stuff could go wrong, so we prepared for plan B, which did not work out. But fortunately, C, D, and E did. And yeah, in order to make everything work together, we prepared for external sources very early. So, for example, our composer, I asked him in February already if he would be able to join the project, because I knew in the late stages of this project there would be time to take care of such things. And yeah, that we designed a proper product environment for us, for example, the module manager, map editor, and so on, did save us a lot of time in the end. It bound a lot of time in the early phases, but it totally paid off in the end, and I will do so again. And yeah, we kept our concept in general very flexible, versatile, modular, which allowed us to know if we noticed that we couldn't do something, to just scrap it and focus on the stuff that is already in there. And yeah, so much about our game. I now want the entire team to go from, come on guys.